to the Football for Kids podcast with me, Darren Rees. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the league which teams can rocket themselves into the big time with. The league where you can change your club's future, and the league where you can catapult into one of the best leagues in the world. Of course, we're going to be talking about the Efl Championship. But before we do that, I wanted to let you know that next week is going to be a good week on the Football for Kids podcast. Next week is going to be Legends Week. There's going to be 2 different episodes on 2 different legends from the world of football released on the podcast. And as a massive thank you for those of you that have signed up to the Football for Kids Patreon page and become super listeners, you will get an exclusive bonus episode on another legend. To find out more, you can click on the link in the description of this episode. Right, it's time to do some shout-outs and some messages. And the first one says, "Hi Darren, my dad and I recently found your podcast and we listen to it all the time. I love football, but they call it soccer over here in Vancouver. My dad and I are Spurs fans, and my favourite player is Harry Kane. I listened to your Harry Kane show and loved it, but wanted to ask if we can have a Sonny episode. I think you mean Heung-Min Son. And hopefully, if that is the case, you've had a chance to listen to that episode." He then goes on to say, "I play for North Vancouver Football Club and will be playing under 8s next season. Can I say hello to Seb, Isaac, Evan, Owen, Devon and the rest of my team?" And that is from Luca, who's age 6 in North Vancouver in Canada. Well, Luca, thank you very much for your message, and a big shout out to you and everybody in your football team and your football coaches. I hope you're doing really well, and of course, I really hope that the most important thing is that you're enjoying your football. The next one says, "Hi Darren, my name is Art McPartland. I'm 6 and I live in Dublin and I support the best club in the world, Liverpool FC, and so do my family. I love your podcast, even though you support Portsmouth and England. We all listen to it in bed together on the weekends. Please could you do an episode on Darwin Núñez, as he is my favourite player. Please can you also say hello to my sister, Rosa, who is 4 and loves Mo Salah. Thanks a lot, from Art." Well, a big shout out to you, Art, and everybody in your family who's listening and enjoying the podcast. Thank you so much for your message, and don't you worry, Núñez is on the list. The next one says, "Dear Football for Kids, my name is Samuel and I've just started listening. I support Arsenal. Could you do an episode on the Arsenal team? Also, could you give a shout out to my friends, Jay, Nate and Sean and me? I would love to hear my name on the podcast. Well done on your podcast. It's a great listen." And that is from Samuel. Well, thank you very much for being a listener, Samuel. It's really good to know that you're enjoying the podcast and you're learning lots from it, and that you think it's a great listen. That's a great big tick in the box. And the very last one on this episode is a great big shout out to Sam and Rowan Cooper, who enjoy the podcast and are listening to it all the time and learning lots and lots. They've also sent some ideas for episodes which I should write, so I've stuck those on the list. So a big shout out to you, Sam and Rowan Cooper. Thank you very much for being listeners, and thank you very much for your message. Right then, it's time to get into the episode about the English Football Championship. The English Football Championship is one of the most exciting second-tier leagues to watch in the world. It's the league which can get your team into the Premiership. And if they get into the Premiership, they can get into Europe. That is exciting stuff. The Championship was once called the Football League's second division, as the Premier League was once called the first division. This was when it started, all the way back in 1892. That's 131 years ago, if you were wondering. All the way back in 1892, the second division had 12 teams in it. I'll tell you who they were quickly. A team called Smallheath, who are now known as Birmingham City, Sheffield United, Darwin, Grimsby Town, Ardwick, who are now known as Manchester City, Burton Swifts, Norwich Victoria, Bootle, Lincoln, Crewe Alexander, Burslem Port Vale and Warsaw Town Swifts. Small Heath won the league that year and they were promoted to the English football top division. 100 years after the second division started, it was renamed again, and in 1992 it became the Football League First Division when the Premier League was founded. Now there are 24 teams in the Football League First Division, and when there's 24 teams in a league, that means a lot of football. In fact, that means 46 league games are played in total. The first ever season of the newly titled Football League Division was an exciting one. 552 matches were played in total and a whopping great 1,449 goals were scored. Newcastle and West Ham United finished first and second, making their way up to the Premier League. In case you didn't know, in the English football leagues there are something called playoff positions. This is where the 4 teams in the 4 positions below the top 2 will play a mini tournament of knockout football. The winner progresses to the Premier League. The team that won the playoffs in the first ever new version of the English First Division was Swindon Town. Unfortunately for them, they didn't last there long, as they were relegated the following season and found themselves right at the bottom of the table. In 2004, the league was renamed again. This time, it went from the Football League First Division to the Football League Championship. Sunderland won the first ever Football League Championship and found themselves back in the Premier League, while the likes of Nottingham Forest were relegated. The last change of name to the division came in 2016, when the Football League Championship was renamed as the English Football League Championship. Championship teams want to make it to the Premier League because the money the clubs earn from being in the Premier League helps them develop their clubs, buy top players, and gives them more options to create better facilities for the staff, team, and the fans. The difference in football between the Championship and the Premiership is quite different. The Premier League has some of the best players in the world who have played in the other top divisions with the biggest teams like Milan, Madrid, Barca, Juventus, Munich, Dortmund, and many, many others. Many Championship sides have struggled over the years and have bounced between the Championship and the Premier League for quite a while. These are called yo-yo clubs. An example of some of these of recent years are Norwich, Burnley, and Watford. Did you know that the Championship is the most attended and watched second-tier football league in the world? There is not another league across the globe which has as many eyes on it on the telly and in the stands as the Championship does. One of the highest attendees for a team in the Championship season was Newcastle's 2009 season, where they had the highest average attendance of 43,388 fans. Some Premier League teams aren't even close to that due to capacity, and some still don't even sell that many available tickets every week. Newcastle fans, I take my hat off to you. The Championship is clearly a well-supported league where the fans come out in their thousands for hundreds of matches. But one thing you can be without doubt confident on is that every Championship match will have hundreds, if not thousands, of away fans in every game. The distance that the fans will travel on a weekend, and even more impressively on a weeknight, is quite something. At the moment, the most southerly team in the Championship is Reading, and the most northernly team in the Championship is Sunderland. When playing each other, away fans will travel 606 miles there and back. That's about 11 hours of driving for a 90-minute game. That is what you call commitment. Some players and teams do really well when they go from the Championship to the Premiership. Brentford and Fulham are good examples of this. In 2021, Brentford came third in the Championship, and Ivan Toney was a top scorer in the whole of the Championship that season, scoring more goals in one season than any other player had done in more than 16 years. He's now the third highest goal scorer in the Premier League this season, behind Harry Kane and Erling Haaland. Fulham were promoted last season after winning the Championship, and Alexander Mitrovic smashed all sorts of records, scoring 43 goals in one season. No player has ever scored that many goals in one Championship season. Fulham are currently sitting in the top half of the Premier League and looking comfortable for another season in the English top division. Did you know that the most amount of goals scored by a team in one championship season was Manchester City in the 2001-2002 season? They scored an amazing 108 goals, setting new records. Weeknights and weekends, the English Football Championship grounds are full with die-hard football fans who follow their teams everywhere. The excitement, the drama, the passion, the what-ifs. The Championship is the doorway to huge games, huge money and huge opportunities. And because of that, it's one of the best leagues in the world. I really hope that you've enjoyed listening and learning about the EFL Championship in all of its glory. Remember, if you know someone who loves football just as much as you do, then please tell them about Football for Kids. And whether you're playing football soon, watching it on the telly or pitchside, I hope that you enjoy the game. See you next time.